in the past, there has been a committee with our Wyoming Association of Senior Project Directors, otherwise you might hear them referred to as WSSB. There was a committee called the Sunshine Committee. And it is my understanding that it was a committee of some of the directors who took on the responsibility of when a new director was appointed somewhere in the state, that they would be that someone on that committee or more than one someone on that committee would reach out to that new director and offer their assistance and their guidance and their help, even if it's just to vent. Maybe they don't have a question, but they just want to vent about frustration, whatever it might be. So we are doing a form of that right now. As far as president, I reach out to directors when I know there's a new director on board. I will reach out to someone close to them as far as their region and ask them to reach out to that person. But we don't actually currently have a committee, so to speak of. But I think we are going to work back to that, to where we have, whether it's 3 or 4 or whatever that's going to look like, and actually have that committee. Then that will be what they do whenever we're informed of a new director, that they will reach out to that new director and offer their assistance, or like I said, just the shoulder, whatever it might look like. So yeah, Sunshine Committee, great name. Quadrant meetings, also another thing that has, in some of the quadrants, has gone a little bit by the wayside, but we are working hard to hopefully bring that back. We have our we have our WSSB meetings as a whole, all of the directors across the state. But where the quadrant meeting is obviously just what it is, it's a portion of the state directors, so it's a little bit smaller group. And the purpose is that you meet regularly, whether it's monthly, quarterly. I'm actually in, I think, the only quadrant that has still been active. And so we try to have a meeting quarterly, and it's usually it was just a phone conference. And with Zoom, we've transitioned to Zoom. When I first started this job, we used to try to meet a couple times a year in person, but like we talked about already, the cuts to funding and traveling is not as easy as it used to be. So most of our meetings anymore are in some form of electronic version, whether it's conference call or Zoom. And it's just a nice way for a smaller group of people to talk about, especially part of it is when you're in your quadrant and maybe things might be somewhat similar for you as directors for that region. Not necessarily the case in my quadrant, because my quadrant starts here in Carbon County and it goes up to Jackson and Teton County, very different. Mm-hmm. But it still is a help. We bounce ideas off of each other. We tell each other, what are we doing right now for fundraising? What are we doing right now to maybe we're all having hiring issues, finding help. So it's just nice sometimes when you're in that smaller group to be able to get better conversation, I think. And then we also, we start our meetings, we start with an agenda saying, what do we want to talk about? Does somebody, have something they want to bring, or a question or a topic they want to talk about that they're struggling with maybe, or that they're excited about? It isn't always negative. Sometimes it's, very positive things. Maybe they just implemented something in their facility that they want to share. And then the whole purpose was, and we have our big WSSB meeting, is then somebody from that quadrant would then report to the whole group, this is what the Southwest quadrant, talked about at their meeting, or this is something exciting that someone in their quadrant is doing. So once again, kind of like with our Sunshine Committee, is we are really trying to get back to having those quadrant meetings. And then also in hopes when we get them going again, maybe we will start in, that we can add, I don't think this has been done in the past, but inviting the WSSB, the WSSB board members to those meetings if they want to. And maybe we have the aging division come on if we have a question for somebody in the aging division. But just a way, once it goes back to even the communication, keeping that communication open, even amongst different other directors. Like I said, it's a nice way to be able to ask questions. So I think, the more that they can get a little bit of an eye on the action and see, we didn't realize that you guys struggle with this, or we didn't realize that you guys were doing some of these other great things. I mean, we know the basics, maybe we know that you provide the meals and you provide some transportation or some activities, but maybe you don't know about some of the other fun, exciting things. And so, yeah, I think it makes everybody understand things a little bit better when they can get a front row seat, so to speak, to the action. WSSB, that's your Wyoming Senior Services Board. They are the ones that oversee the funding we get from that grant, from the WSSB grant. Another one, WISE, which is the Wyoming In-Home Services Program. Not every program in the state, like I don't have WISE, but I still am fully aware what it is and what it does. And that program is exactly what the In-Home Services Program. They're going to have people who come in and maybe do chores, helping clean, medical stuff. You know, they might have a CNA or an RN on staff to help with some medical, if people need some medical assistance in their home. And another one would be 3B. You're going to hear 3B and wonder what is 3B. That is your Title III grant for socialization, transportation, and activities. So those are three, probably three of the top you'll hear about. Kind of like when I started my job, and the administrative coordinator said to me, "You have your WSSB grant has already been done. Your Title III grants just got here. Your there was others, but I was like, it was like she was speaking a foreign language to me. What is all of that?" So yeah, those are three of the acronyms, and there's a whole list. I just put together a board manual, and it has a page and a half of acronyms that are common in our jobs.